And welcome back to OPC Season 2. I'm AVRL. Joined with me this evening is Pixie as we head into the second match of the evening. Of course, we're into week 6 now, which means the end of the regular season is upon us.
Oh yeah, that's right. All good things come to an end. And it's going to be Blank taking on Flash Wolves. They're kind of rivals throughout this tournament, I suppose, because, of course, Blank lost to them in the grand finals of Season 1, and since then have kind of yet to prove that they can actually overcome Flash Wolves. This is now their last chance to do so before playoffs, and that's only if they were to meet in playoffs as well, because that in itself isn't guaranteed. So Blank, hungry.
And Flash Wolves have been such a strong gatekeeper against Blank now for 2 seasons going. I mean, Flash Wolves have consistently pushed down Blank in Season 1, stopped them from getting that #1 spot in the grand finals of Season 1, and now into Season 2 so far, they have beaten Blank in the first round robin. This is the second time they're meeting now in the competition, and Blank are going to be coming in with a home side advantage as well. So for Blank, the final test, I mean, you're at the end of the season now. This could be the last chance to redeem yourself against Flash Wolves.
I like you describing them as gatekeeper, because that just kind of reminds me. It is. Let's just hear some words from the coaches beforehand.
Really been looking forward to today's match. This tournament overall is shaped up to be quite a close competition, and Flash Wolves looking a little bit weak lately, so we're looking to fix up a performance from last time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 闪电狼。
下周开始就是季后赛，那希望大家能够下周的时候都能够来现场，然后
feel like everyone can join us in the playoffs and
大家比赛这样子。
watch us and have good competition.
好，加油！那我们比赛前，我们先请双方握个手。
Once again, okay, this is something I've noticed about Ray, the coach of Flash Wolves, is, look, there was some shots fired by Doctor there, but most importantly, all of the shots fired by Ray are under the table, because what he's really saying, the subtext there is, we're not even thinking about this game. I'm already looking at the playoffs.
Yeah. Sorry, who are you again?
What?
But like seriously, when you say
what? Who?
when you say gatekeeper, all I can think of is like a neckbeard at a comic convention.
Like why?
Like you know the concept of like gatekeeping in a fandom. Like we'll name 3 comic book characters. I can just imagine Flash Wolves looking at Blank like, oh, you like playoffs? Name 3 of them.
I meant gatekeeper in the traditional sense.
I know exactly what you meant. What I imagined was completely different.
So you took that, you're like, no, I'm going to do something different with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a spin on it and then tell you all about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's most of what I do with my life.
It is, especially to me.
But actually, in all seriousness, gatekeeper is a very apt term, because they've also kind of gatekept them out of making it into playoffs in a lot of other regards as well. And actually, it's only been with the recent movement in the table with especially the upset Mega got against AHQ, but also actually AHQ's victory over Flash Wolves themselves. First of all, it's given Blank the ticket into playoffs. Second of all, it's made Flash Wolves fallible. And those 2 things put together are significant, because that means this is a very real situation for Blank to overcome Flash Wolves here. Ideally, Blank want to secure either 3rd or 2nd place, and this win would all but guarantee at least one of those 2 spots.
All right, let's go meet the teams now. Start things off with Blank Esports coming from Australia. So this is going to be really interesting, and the Eat You Up versus Bacon Jack matchup has got to be the one to look out for here.
Absolutely does, and on the whole, this team has really started to come into their own. It does feel like the improvements are evident week to week to week. There was a very dicey moment in the middle of the tournament where it was looking like maybe they'd fall just shy of playoffs, but they seem to have pushed it up to their old standards just in the nick of time. Now it's all about pushing beyond that. On the flip side of that though, we've got to take a look at Flash Wolves. Unchanged since Season 1, this is the exact same lineup that won the Season 1 playoffs against Blank. They then came into Season 2 off the back of an unfortunate loss at World Cup, which saw them not making it through to the round of 8, whereas Blank did in their own tournament. And they've kind of struggled a bit from there. Don't let the standings fool you. They did not come in looking as good as when they left at the end of Season 1. Now, though, they have started to return a little bit to that form, but the truth is these other teams have been challenging them in equal measure.
And now the final team, well, not the final team, I guess, but the first team of this weekend in the last leg of the regular season play has to be Blank, and it's going to be an interesting run to see exactly how Blank are going to challenge this team, because Blank have made some roster swaps. As you've already mentioned, Flash Wolves have not. So now for Blank going in, it is about finally getting past that gatekeeper. Sorry, I'm trying to say words are hard. But moving past Flash Wolves has been the most difficult part of this OPC journey, because you have to look at both seasons combined, and it has always been the Flash Wolves.
And that's the thing is, you know, this is one of those matchups that kind of extends beyond Season 2 in itself. I mean, the fact that it even kind of bleeds into World Cup itself because of the relative performance of these two teams says a lot about how much is riding on this matchup. And like we said, of course, Flash Wolves unchanged in terms of their roster compared to Blank. So if we're saying these other teams are able to challenge Flash Wolves in equal measure, part of that is actually the roster swaps the other teams have made have worked. Flash Wolves didn't need to make any changes, but they have now kind of been caught up to. Every other team looks like a Flash Wolves.
Well, it's close to a Flash Wolves, and we'll see exactly how and if these guys can now widen that gap again. What will be really interesting is, we've sort of mentioned this in previous, I guess, matches we've seen Flash Wolves in, but they're one of the few teams that have really still taken a liking to Doomfist in the current patch change. Mind you, we're on patch 1.14, which is the Junkrat and Roadhog buffs. So how they then incorporate that into the gameplay is going to be really interesting. Are we still going to see Zonda and Bacon Jake onto Doomfist? We also saw a lot of Junkrat play out of this team as well, whereas on the flip side, Blank are playing a lot more of a standard Tracer, Genji kind of thing that Huss has been trying to get into, and, you know, for just in general for Blank to try and get a hold of themselves in.
I think that blob was meant to be Winston's face.
It was. Yep.
Yeah, it threw me off to begin with. I'm like, that's
Is that an apple?
Yeah, that's a cute little face he drew. I was like, is that like Ditto with glasses? Like, what's this blob? And then I suddenly clicked. It's like, right.
Well, Ditto can be whoever
Winston.
you want, so Ditto could be
Exactly.
a Winston.
He could be Winston.
You're also not wrong no matter
That's-
which way you go there.
That'd be a really weird crossover to do, eh? Like,
That's one of the few ways that you can have multiple heroes of the same team.
it's the only, yeah.
It's actually probably the only
Exactly,
way. You pick
exactly.
the Ditto hero, and then you
Yeah.
can have two Winstons.
Exactly.
But other than that, you can't.
got like the
because game
free
doesn't
for all
allow it.
mode. You got the free for all mode, and then you've also got picking Ditto. That's the only way. Which is very hard to do.
So what happens is
I've yet to unlock it.
So what happens is in the hero select screen, if you pick a Ditto, you just go to another hero select screen.
What happens is like you know when you select them, like you and the other person who pick it have to hit select on the exact same frame, and then you both get that hero. Really
Hidden AP techniques of
exactly.
Overwatch.
It's strats. It's
Oh my
strats. Like frame perfect tricks.
Oh,
Like
dude, we've taken this too far.
we really have. We really. It's like that's the you get like the 2 Winston, 2 Lucio, 2 Tracer thing. Oh man, those were definitely
let's
not the days.
Take a
Let's-
look at the map pick now, which has come on through from the Blank side of things. Of course, they're the home team, and they're going to pick Ilios, and we've already had a bit of Ilios action tonight, which was pretty hotly contested. This is also one of Blank's most favorable maps on their most favorable game modes, and of course, with Blank being the home team, they also get map picks 3 and 5, which is the Assault and the Hybrid at the end. Flash Wolves as the away team are going to get 2 and 4, which is a Hybrid in the second map, and the Escort as the fourth map.
And the interesting thing here is, of course, Control for Blank has been the one map mode they've been reliably able to win most of the time. They were able to win it against Flash Wolves the last time these two teams met, and on the flip side of that, Control has been the map mode that Flash Wolves have most consistently dropped. That has changed in the last couple of weeks, but you've still got to feel this is a very Blank-favored mode, and it's a very Blank-favored map within that. This is a good kind of pick for them to go to out the gate, and if they can set themselves up 1-0 up, it bodes well for the rest of the series. It would really be maximizing the leverage you get from that home side advantage.
And this has been the round robin where Flash Wolves are starting to get those 3 and 0s again. When we looked at first round robin, Flash Wolves, they were losing a map at every single stage of the competition and that first round robin, of course. To every team, it was usually the Control, the Limit Supreme, it was the Hybrid on King's Row. But now coming in here, second round robin, 3 and 0s have been on the cards for Flash Wolves a lot. That means they're getting a lot I guess a much better win rate on Control specifically, which needs to be a map now where Blank have to get a good start, have to get a win on the board, because this is not a map or a game mode that I feel Blank can really afford to lose.
The only other thing that's still worth considering in among that is, of course, the last time they dropped Control, it was against AHQ, who beat them outright. So when they have been losing series, which has only been that one, they are still tending to lose Control in among that. So they're either winning 3-0 or dropping Control and having a very close series all told. Because, of course, Hong Kong Attitude, the last time these teams met, took them to a similarly long kind of series. It's a bit of an interesting situation for Flash Wolves. The consistency is absolutely there, but it does still seem to be the case that the teams that are stronger than them on Control are still beating them on Control.
So the thing here to consider is, and you have to draw a few dots here and connect some lines, and It's, I guess, take it with a grain of salt, but when you look at how the standings have shaped up, it comes down to the fact that Flash Wolves just beat Hong Kong Attitude in second round robin. 3-1 was the score, and that was a very telling series because it sort of cemented Flash Wolves' position on the ladder as that second place team. Hong Kong Attitude were the third place team and still are the third place team, trying to break it into number 2 past the Flash Wolves. They couldn't get it done. Now Hong Kong Attitude are also the team that are now beaten blank twice across both round robins. So if you want to connect the lines here, it kind of draws that story and that comparison to say Flash Wolves are still looking good and there are still question marks over blank.
On the whole, interesting situation, but one of those situations that's going to be a lot less interesting in a way after this match is done, because of course one team will win it, the other team will lose, and then, well, all questions are kind of answered in terms of who is best and who is deserving, at least until they potentially meet in playoffs. But of course, first up, we are going to have Lighthouse.
It's going to be an interesting skill matchup between Zonda and Huss as well, because Blank, we expect them to be running the Tracer Genji. If you're Flash Wolves, you're also expecting the Tracer Genji, so putting Zonda on the McCree absolutely works here, but he needs to land the flashbangs on both Huss and Eat Up.
And he does tend to. We're going to have to see, like you said, how that works out. Huss getting very pressured, but K-Momo is the first one to go down, and Blank just barely keeping these members alive. Flash Wolves are the ones set up on the point, but they're going to have to abandon that space now, because Blank, by getting those early kills and no one going down in the counter trade, they're able to just come in and occupy that space. Good retreat by Flash Wolves after it was obvious the fight was lost, but the fight was lost.
It's interesting what you see on the Flash Wolves side of things, exactly what they prioritize in that opening skirmish. They didn't go for the kills necessarily. They went for the cap control before the cap actually came up alive. So Zonda was sitting there. A lot of the other players were just kind of sitting on that cap, waiting for Blank Esports to dive on. But Eda found the kills elsewhere. He ignored the point completely, and Flash Wolves, they just lost their members.
And that's actually one of the few times Blank have won an opening skirmish on control, as good as they are on it. Now looking to kind of just have a repeat performance as they're really getting the pressure on these members. Bacon Jack barely able to get out, but Jongi may just pay for his life with it. And they're still just getting so pressured out. Good catch on the pulse bomb. Nice one to close out on Jongi. They do trade one back though, but Zonda's low. He can't really get much more than that, so they're just going to have to back one out anyway. This is all just more time on the cap for Blank themselves. Huss only getting the Diva mech with the Dragon Blade isn't exactly ideal, but it's something.
You get something for it, which is exactly, I guess, the minimum requirement for any ultimate use. But Flash Wolves now still on the back foot here. There's a lot of time being wasted in Blank Esports. They're getting closer to other ultimates, and now it really comes online. RQT and Gumba getting those defensive ultimates. Zonda not picking up the instant kill with the rocket punch as well. Flash Wolves, they're running out of options.
Realman and Sinclair need to get something done with these defensive ultimates here. And that's just matched. Sound barrier still, and it's still Flash Wolves losing members. Sinclair going down, and now Jongi as well. It's probably going to sign off this fight for them as well. Chill going to commit the Primal Rage just so that there's still pressure on the point when Flash Wolves go all in, which they have. Bacon Jack getting one back here, but they're just struggling to get a legitimate leg up in this fight. Starting to get a few counter trades in. It's still winnable for Flash Wolves, but it's taken a long time. It's been very expensive, and it's easily still as winnable for Blank. Indeed, it's looking like Blank is still going to hold on.
Well, good thing here is Bacon Jack actually took down Eat Up, so Eat Up's been the biggest factor for Blank so far. It has just been looking like Eat Up versus Flash Wolves. The rest of Blank are also just playing Eat Up's game, but now finally, because he went down, Flash Wolves are in control, and in the final moments as well, at the 99% mark, they waited a very long time, but as soon as Eat Up went down, that's Flash Wolves' moment to strike.
You got to talk about the difference in ult charge, though. The cost of getting that for Flash Wolves. They've got that Transcendence, and that could be well, it will be actually a huge boon for them. But Blank have definitely got the ultimates to just convert this fight out the gate.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful though. Not Gus, but Huss needs to be able to get a lot of mileage out of this Dragon Blade. We've already sort of known that so far he's kind of struggled with that. So we have to sort of see the improvement on that side as well. With Gumba going down early, you got to think this might just be another Flash Wolves fight.
And a nice pulse bomb to get RQT as well. They lose EU up in the mix, and Blank are just going to have to take that fight loss on the chin. The only ultimate they threw into that was the pulse bomb out of Eat You Up, so not too big a loss, but Flash Wolves happy to secure the win and get more time on the point.
It's a good way for Blank to sort of dip their toes in the water, just see if they can get something done, throw out a pulse bomb. Eat Up charges it very quickly. He's already on 50% now, so not a big loss. And for Flash Wolves though, important fight win for them because now this gives them double support ults. Jongi's nearly on the Primal Rage as well, and suddenly Flash Wolves are looking good.
And on the other side of that, Blank probably just have to wait a little longer to get those same ultimates up on their side of things. And that's going to put Flash Wolves into that 80-90% territory. So Blank they actually want to wait for a little moment longer, but there will be a narrow window to go, and they really have to commit at the right time.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because they've been waiting for a long time now. It's already 72%, and this will have only been their second fight.
Oh, Gunba dying as well, just shy of the
99.
Transcendence. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. And they lose Trill in that as well. Good trade back on the Jongi. Means without, oh dear, losing Hubu as well in that is very, very late for himself. And I was going to say, if they lose no one else, that's not too bad. But now they're going to be the slower to respawn.
Slow has to be the word here for Blank because all this patience has really cost them. Again, 93% now and only 2 fights. It's 1 fight per 50%. That's not what you want to be doing as Blank. We're already into the overtime and Blank has barely made a move.
And they're only even in ultimates now. They really have to get the work done. But the work is getting done. Good pick on the Realman. Nicely placed self-destruct. Oh, Huss.
Oh, man.
He doesn't even kill K-Momo, which is the only thing he was looking for when going in. And you've got to question that dive. Now Blank very much on the back foot on the point itself. They just don't have the members.
Trill,
though, getting some work done, eat you up, getting trained down by Bacon Jack. They're looking for the closeout, and there it is. There's only so much Trill can do alone. Joggy's going to close out that kill. And Blank had it, man. They had it there for themselves. They let it go a little too long. They didn't have the right kind of window, and then when they did, they misfired.
You got to look at, if you want to break this one down a little bit further, you got to get real nitty-gritty with what Blank did here. Where were the winning moments for them? How could they have turned this around and actually secured Ilios Lighthouse? And you got to go back to the first fight they come back in after Flash Wolves capped the point. It was off the back of the fact that Bacon Jake won the 1v1 against Eat Up, which he also won right at the end when Flash Wolves finished the map. But when Flash Wolves initially got that cap, Blank come in, they had a Dragon Blade, they had a Pulse Bomb. They really needed to go for an ultless fight there, just go for something really aggressive, force out both Realman and Sinclair's ultimates if possible, then come back in with RQT and Gumba's ultimates after that, because then they have a double support advantage. They can get the recap, they can get the win, but it just didn't happen.
Well, this is now Ruins, a map where Blank have traditionally done very well as well. We'll have to see how well they pull that one off. Good pressure already out of Flash Wolves.
And people are going to be swapping dancing partners here, so it's going to be Eat Up versus Zonda and Bacon Jake versus Huss. It's going to be an interesting matchup.
Gunba did get the initial hack on the health pack on the side, so that is big for Blank. But if they lose members, it's not going to count for much. Great headshot and losing Hubu's mech. They're getting some answers back, though, and looking to get pressure onto Zonda now if they can. Plus, they're actually able to get onto the point itself. Oh, good catch on RQT. The thing is, Flash Wolves actually don't need the members to affect the point. Nice close out on Zonda as well, and now Blank are able to get aggressive.
They're able to get aggressive, but Flash Wolves come in with the advantage, which is important to note. Sinclair with the EMP here. You just got to not lose too many more members. Flash Wolves are throwing this one away. That could have been a fight they come back with a lot of advantage, but because Gumba got the kills there, now he's got an EMP as well. That should have been an advantage over the Flash Wolves, but it's not.
It's also given Edu up the time to set up on this high ground. Huwu as well actually started that fight without a mech. That's a good 1-for-1. Honestly, Blank are happy enough with that because it means they get that uncontested position with this Widowmaker. Good EMP from Sinclair and good conversion as well. Trill can't quite Primal Rage, only just be able to get it in time, and it does save his life. Converts kill spread as well, and Sinclair in a lot of trouble here actually if he's not careful. At any rate, Blank have still got the point.
They do, and off the back of a really nice kill from Eat Up as well, so really putting Flash Wolves into a really difficult situation. Both teams use the EMP there, but Blank Esports came out on top. Huss still shutting Zonda down here. This just gives Eat Up a lot more time to play with, and including the Infra Sight. Well, I guess both Widowmakers have the Infra Sight, so this next Widow duel becomes really important.
It really does, but what it really does is it affects the Sombras more than really affects the Widowmakers in a big, big way, especially for Sinclair, who actually doesn't have a lot of that health pack right now. That's the early pick, though, but they demech K-Momo. They're kind of trying to run it even. He gets Trilled, though, with the self-destruct anyway, so all's well that ends well, and Flash Wolves looking to convert off the back of that fight without too much trouble. Going to kill you up at the end for good measure, too.
And that is an awkward fight for Blank to lose, and now it's starting to look like Lighthouse all over again. It's just a situation where somehow your supports RQT again, sound barrier not used. You're just not seeing a situation where Blank Esports slow things down, just say this is where our engage has to be. We're going to consolidate here. These are the ultimates we want to use, and you're just feeding supports continuously. It's RQT and Gumba dying mostly.
Unfortunately is, but this time it's Sinclair dying, and with that EMP now off the table, Blank have a good opportunity to just straight back. Here they come indeed, but their first casualty is going to be Huwu. They get some trades back though. With that EMP committed, they're just looking to convert kills. They can't really get onto Zonda just yet, but that means he can't really affect the fight. Now they're getting the pressure on as they try and get the pressure on these tanks as well, but it has to be the casualty here. And actually, the cap still hasn't come through for Blank, so if there's a good counterattack from Flash Wolves, they can hold on to this. Blank though, on the point, looking to stop that from being a possibility as they catch K-Momo, who is diving for the health back. Eat you up as well, still keeping the point on lockdown in terms of the sidelines, and that is the cap now for Blank.
A really good cap around that's got to put the pressure onto Flash Wolves now. You got to commend Trill for what he was doing a little bit earlier. Well, it's an interesting duel taken by Eater, but nonetheless, you got to go back to what Trill was doing because he forces on to back, but not only that, he was wasting Sinclair's time. So both players just trying to fend off Trill, and now, well, this is
Oh, man, it is. I mean, it was the last-ditch fight for Flash Wolves, and they got Trill. It was a good kind of start, but unfortunately, the headshots coming through and all the kills coming up Blank there. Flash Wolves just didn't really have an ideal position right from the get-go. Sinclair as well, trying to get the wraparound on Eat You Up to close out the kill. It didn't pay off. It was still doable for Flash Wolves, but ultimately you got to give props to Blank for successfully executing on that final fight where it really counted.
And I think it's very clear here that Blank are the more experienced Widowmaker team, especially onto Ruins. They've shown this a lot in the entire OPC Season 1. This has been one of their crux kind of strategies, what they've really mastered for this team. They really understand well how to play around their own Widowmaker, and in turn, how to even counter up the other Widowmaker. And that was evident in the fact that when it was Blank in charge, when they had the cap control, Elam was getting a lot more work done than the other flip side around. When Zonda was the Widowmaker and his team was in control, he just didn't have that same impact.
Well, now we've got to see, speaking of impact, Huss start to pull it out on this Genji, where generally speaking, he's struggled to do so. And with the series tied up 1-1, it's going to come down to Well.
Speaking of struggle, though, Zonda did struggle to make the Doomfist work onto Lighthouse, so there's I guess, questions on his head as well for both of these DPS players. One of them has to really pull the weight for the team.
They're just looking for something here, getting good pressure onto Blank early on, but not quite closing out. There's the wraparound onto Gunba. Sinclair not quite going down in the trade, and now Flash Wolves are able to just get kind of unboundedly aggressive here. No trade kills coming through. Blank still losing members on the backside. This route has been super successful for Flash Wolves.
The thing is, Gumba has been the main target from Flash Wolves for most of Ilios so far. They've been able to get him on a lot of these pushes as well, so he's got a big brain, but still only 200 HP, and that just means it's very difficult for him to live here. Now, Huss will be changing onto the Pharaoh.
He's got 200 HP and 200 IQ.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's more HP and IQ than I probably have, so why not? That's an upgrade.
I feel like I've probably got about 50 HP, like, at best. I know I've got more IQ than that, but yeah. I'm not a strong guy. But who is strong is Zonda, getting the good conversion. And again, Blank trying to get aggressive, but not getting these closeouts. That's allowing Flash Wolves to come in for these counterattacks here. Getting one back is good news for Eat You Up, but they can't get anything else off it.
They need to be able to get this camp pressure on, and we're starting to see the issues when you take this back and you look at AHQ versus Ardian series, which just passed. It's the same story, right? You have a Fire player. You don't even have a Mercy this time. That's a plus and a minus. You can just make it work, but what really needs to happen is you need to see the impact go to Huss. Okay, he's not on Genji, but where is his rockets? How is he going to make those count?
Pulse Bomb does not quite connect, but Bacon Jacks does, and that's going to swing the fight already in favor of Flash Wolves. Blank have actually yet to get a significant kind of leg up in any of these fights. The pick on Jongi will maybe be the opening that they've been looking for.
The good news for Blank is Huss is 100% unchallenged here. No one can really go for him outside of maybe K-Momo and Sinclair and some damage from Bacon Check, but here comes aggression.
Yeah, look at Joe indeed. The Transcendence,
very unaggressive.
Yeah, Transcendence meant that he couldn't actually go in on those supports. He would have just died, so he has to kind of back out. But he's still able to make it work anyway, catching Eat You Up. And again, Blank still unable to get ahead in this fight, committing the ultimates now, but no conversion yet. They haven't got a rocket barrage out of Huss, who is actually starting to get a little bit challenged. Huwu, though, getting a bump on K-Momo. The self-destruct out creates space for them. They get the catch on Sinclair, who is a little exposed there. And finally, they're able to start doing some work. They've got a nice rocket barrage here, zones out Jongi, doesn't get any kills, but they may just be able to get the point off the back of this. And off the back of that, ideally, they need to stabilize too.
Nice for a zoning ultimate maybe, but not nice enough to actually pick up the kills. And at 99%, kills is what Blank really need. Here, IQT does get one, but immediately traded. So where are the rest of these going to come from? Blank have run out of ultimates.
And they've run out of members too. Huss finally kills Zonda. It took him so long to get just that. And for all this time contesting the point, it looks like they may just get it over the line here at the very end. But my goodness, that has really been a hard ask. And honestly, Flash will still fight into the last, finally getting the cap over. Now Blank have a marathon effort ahead of him.
And it's crazy to think that only Zonda now switches onto the McCree, not because he doesn't want to previously, but because he didn't die. He didn't die the entire time on Doomfist, so we're finally the first death in the game for him. The Flash was resetting for the first time. He's going to try and counter on Huss now, and this is a good change up because Huss doesn't have the time to change up his hero either, outside of Blank getting a string of good stalls on his cap, because for Flash Wolves, one fight win is potentially going to be a map win.
And either of these DPSs dying in any kind of way will completely swing it in favor of Flash Wolves. They only lose Huwu's mech so far, and do have the opening pick on the Realm, and good pressure out on these members. They need to convert onto K-Momo's mech there, ideally, or maybe onto Jongi, which will force the Primal Rage. And there it goes. But Bacon Jack's got Gunba in the back line. Now Blank need to find something here because they've lost the Transcendence. Soundberry committed, having to commit the Primal Rage as well. And again, they need to get some kills here. They lose Eat You Up, and Huss is too low to fight safely. Who's got to get something done with that self-destruct? Doesn't even get back in the mech. And again, Trill doing what he can, but he's just one guy. Now Gunba finally able to get back in with the Transcendence, but he can't save RQT, unfortunately, nor can he save Huss. He's going to save Trill, but again, Trill is just one guy. Gunba goes down, Trill goes down, and good heavens, would you look at the time. Flash Wolves 2-1. It's going to take Ilios.
And Zonda menacingly just stares down Blank as they finish out their map, and that is such a good win for Flash Wolves because this was going to be the hardest map of the series tonight, arguably. So moving on now, you got a feel for Blank, and part of the reason why that ended up working out for Flash Wolves is one of the win conditions is killing Gunba repeatedly. That's something they achieved time and time again. When you look at the Pharah Zenyatta composition, the only heals that Huss can get in the air is actually from Gunba. Now, usually, if it was a Mercy, Mercy's much harder to kill than because it's a Zenyatta, and they've already successfully killed Gunba many times. As soon as Gunba's down, no heals for Huss, shoot him a couple times, even if he doesn't die, he's out of the fight.
You've got to feel as well, Lighthouse was very winnable for Blank, and it was just a complete misexecution in the final fight that kind of had that go in the way of Flash Wolves. Look, it's one of those fights where whichever team played it better was going to be the team that won it, and it was Flash Wolves the one that won that fight. And then off the back of that, didn't matter how good Blank's performance on Ruins was, actually their performance on Lighthouse, just been, was so lackluster by comparison. I mean, they would almost wish that they hadn't had to go to well at all and had just got the 2-0, but they don't, and Flash Wolves get a 2-1. I mean, you can call it close, or you can call it Blank falling short of the mark.
And it had to have been Lighthouse where they turned around, because Lighthouse, they had the 99-0 lead, and that's such a good lead to have against a team like Flash Wolves. But as soon as you gave it to Flash Wolves, and this is kind of the similar feeling of when a cap goes over to Ardian, they don't lose it again. That's something that Flash Wolves and Ardian, as two teams in this competition, above everyone else, tend to be able to do. If they get control, they don't lose control. And that was very evident. And it kind of happened on Well as well, because, I mean, it took a long time for Blank to be able to really make the move. And actually, by the time they did, it was 99-0. And then you finally got Zonda onto McCree, which counters Huss's Pharaoh. So it kind of even just helps them.
Yeah, and the thing is, Blank on Well, like that's the map where they most consistently lose that opening skirmish, and it happens in the exact same way every single time. They don't really do anything all that proactive. The other team gets aggressive, they force them back, they get wraparounds onto the healers, and Blank just start crumbling under the pressure. Any team would crumble under the pressure, but you would have thought by now Blank would learn from that. And by the way, Controller's meant to be their best game mode. Ilios is meant to be their best map among that. And yet they've still got this one glaring weakness in it. They've got by because often they're able to re-aggress and recontest, and that's where it starts going well. From there, they tend to hold. But losing that opening skirmish is still a huge weakness, and it's the sort that teams like Flash Wolves and Ardiant, who will hold the point for almost the entire time if they win that opening skirmish, something that they're going to absolutely exploit every single time.
And it's interesting you use the phrase get by, because it did feel like that even when they were winning. By the way, map pick for Flash Wolves is going to be King's Row. And where you had a situation, and I guess Lighthouse is one of the good examples of this, Eat-Up was a huge monster in that opening series, in the opening moments, I should probably say, which gave Blank that opening 99-0. And then when you look at Ruins as well, once again, Eat-Up consistently outperforms Zonda on the Widowmaker role. But when you got to Well and suddenly Bacon Jack is in form, he's shutting down Eat-Up. In fact, most of the team just kind of is. If they're not shutting him down, they're at least pressuring him in a way where Eat-Up's not as effective. They're suddenly not getting by, because it did seem that when Blank were winning, they were winning heavily off of Eat-Up's plays, either on Trace or Auto.
And you know, when it wasn't him, it was Trill. But you know who it wasn't? Was Huss. And look, I'm not saying this to rag on the guy, but you've got to look at going in with the Dragon Blade against the D.Va self-destruct. Like, at best, you get a 1v1 and the D.Va doesn't get back in the mech. But here's the thing. No one was going to die to that self-destruct. The fact that only Huss died because he was in the room with it should be evidence of that. You could have held on to the Dragon Blade. You could have waited out the self-destruct and gone off for someone else instead. It was not a good call.
Well, the mistake was he didn't deflect the self-destruct back into the D.Va, so try that next time, because that's
what if
what
you
I
could do that? You just deflect this shockwave from the self-destruct.
Imagine if you could deflect everything. If you want to push the cart to the end of King's Row, I'm gonna deflect the cart back to A.
But it's like, my favorite thing is like playing either Zarya or Winston against bad Genjis, and they try and deflect the beam or something. Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine that?
A Genji would have deflected that sneak.
It's like, can you imagine that? It's like Star Wars and, you know, the end of Revenge of the Sith, and it's Darth Sidious is the Winston with the Tesla cannon, and then Genji is Mace Windu, like.
Sure.
Just you know.
Yeah.
Deflecting that lightning back into him. That's what it should be like. But Overwatch is, you know, the far more realistic game here. So
it's far more realistic than Star Wars, and you cannot deflect beams.
Exactly, because in Star Wars people are accepting of Omnics, and in this game, much like in real life, people are not.
The thing is, if you actually think about it, it should be far more easy to deflect something like a beam, something like plasma, than a physical bullet. Like, if you think about it, right? Because shouldn't, like you could put up like a kind of shield, like a mirror would deflect a beam, right? But like a bullet, you've got to somehow like hit the bullet and bounce it back. Actually, it's less realistic than Star Wars, strictly speaking. Just want to be clear. Turns out, guys,
wrap that one up.
Overwatch may not be completely reflective of reality.
No, someone did like a Mythbusters thing on it, and they said, if for Genji to deflect a Bastion bullet shot back at a Bastion at the full force that he shot it back at him, you would have to be moving your arms at such a rate that when you hit the bullet back, it created a nuclear explosion. Someone like worked that out. I don't know. Overwatch maths.
Well, Genji can kind of feel like that sometimes, I'll be honest, but never mind all that. No Genjis here, folks. Blank going to be running the shield cop on their attack, and they're going to be running Huss on this Junkrat as well. They've had some good success with this. Let's see if it pays off.
It's going to be a siege comp as well, because it allows you to move forward slowly while laying down a lot of damage from Huss's Junkrat here. So it's important that this damage from Huss really counts. Get a good pick here, though. It's just playing bouncy castle with Jongi for the time.
That was a great one, actually, to bounce Jongi back up, because that actually throws off Flash Wolves' timing. It's not the end of the world. They didn't get the kill off it, but it just means that Flash Wolves have to hesitate an extra moment, really.
That's what Jongi looks like on a trampoline, by the way. Just up and down, up and down.
Oh, Huss 2 health. Zonda's got him on the backside of that. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get healed up in time. And actually, Blank, they're running a really slow comp, and they have to pull back after one pick. They're going to lose a lot of time if they keep this up.
So they have a slow composition, but when they get set up, it's very difficult to dislodge them. The weakness here is that Flash Wolves have a mobile enough comp that they can actually get a good surround, and the surround really works for them because it allows Bacon Jack to flank, and allows Zon to get good angles as well.
Oh, Jongi is powered up, and he does get in there. He's going to have to commit the Primal Rage as well, and it pays off. That is a pro Winston, if ever I saw one.
My eyes hurt.
Yeah, I feel quite nauseous.
I want to get off Mr. Jongi's wild ride right now.
Wow. The problem I have with wild rides is I can't get off them.
By the way, I asked Realmint why Jongi does that, and Realmint told me the reason Jongi shakes his screen like that is it somehow improves the hitbox registration.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, really, Mr. Wise Guy over here?
Well, it's the same thing with Reinhardt's hammer. The hitbox isn't like the path of the hammer. The hitbox is an area in front of the hammer. So if you move the whole hitbox, you move what it can affect. But let's actually talk about the game because Hubu just died, which means again Blank are in this position where they're just having to back off and they're losing members on the retreat as well. They're getting wrapped around now by Bacon Jack and Jongi. They may just get completely wiped here. In fact, it looks like Haas is going to be the only person to get out.
So here's the silver lining for Blank Esports because they've waited roughly, what, 2 minutes and 30 now for this push. And this has got to be the big push. They've got nearly 6 ultimates here, about to be 6 ultimates. You're expecting a huge play from the tanks. One of these tank ultimates has to be the one that opens up this cap entirely. And that's got to be the one that actually finishes off Flash Wolves. And if that's not enough, the second tank ultimate, in whichever order you want to play it in, should be able to just win it for Blank. But that aside, if this doesn't work, Blank are done.
And I mean, you've got to say, it's taken them 3 minutes to get to this point. If they don't do it and they lose, eat you up, not off to a good start. Huss has to get something out of this. Oh, only gets 1! That's like play of the game material normally. That's the setup you're after. Good self-destruct by K-Momo, stalls them up a little longer still. They do at least have a closer respawn for Huss and eat you up both. They're having to commit the nano boost now.
Who's got no energy?
Exactly. He's got no energy. They still get the kill. And they have got good positioning. They've been able to split up Flash Wolves enough that they should be able to get some closeouts here. But Flash Wolves are not going to go down easy. They're still killing members on the back end of this fight. They're still putting Blank into a situation where they may get pressure back. Losing Huru as well now. Unless Blank can suddenly get huge converts, they're actually going to get beaten back once again with only a third for every single ultimate.
Now, this is so far not really working out because 20 seconds remaining. So waiting on respawns, by the way, killing Huru repeatedly is a great thing that Flash Wolves have done. That's really shut down his energy. If anything, you want Huru to be the one remaining alive at the end of all these engagements because then he'd be at 100 energy still, but because he's not, you're not seeing the damage output from anyone on Blank.
And now they're able to commit Jongi once again with this nano boost. They've already converted onto Gunba. They're already pressuring out Huwu. They're just not getting these kills on the point itself. The only one they got was Zonda, and now there's the wraparound in for the rest of Flash Wolves as Jongi rejoins the fight. Blank are getting absolutely picked apart, and when they had all 6 ultimates, all they got for it was a third. Unfortunately, Blank not even going to first cap on King's Row.
Oh, and you had to have... The win condition was very clear for Blank, and yes, it took them 3 minutes to reach it, but they needed to win off that, because if not, then not at all. Their entire composition relies on if you're not going to have ults, really good area control in the cap itself, while getting slow picks, siege composition with the Junkrat, just slowly whittling down the side of Flash Wolves. That unfortunately didn't happen because Flash Wolves had a really good surround constantly, really good space control on their side, high ground dominance, which by the way, Azaya and Reinhardt fails to contest at all points in the game. And then you had the big letdown, which is grab into a Riptire solo kill. Like that, you were kind of right, because usually that's a play that that's like 3-4 kills, easy, done, but it just wasn't the case. Didn't quite get to see where the Earth Shadow landed, but you got to think, also not enough mileage because there just wasn't a lot of kills popping up on the kill feed. Off of 2 tank ultimates and a Riptire, I mean, like 2 kills off that is just not enough.
Well, I mean, they committed everything, is the thing. Like, I mean, even just beyond the 2 tank ultimates and the Riptire, like, they committed everything else and got nothing for it.
Yeah, the other 3 too.
Like, all of them. And they got
6.
They got, what, 41.9%? I mean, I'm going to be the first to say it. That's just not good enough. It's just not.
I already said it, so you have to be the second.
Oh, okay, I'm second. Damn. It's like in YouTube where you try and type first, but actually someone else got the comment before you.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy that has to get in first.
Well, you actually had the good graces to not say first. You were just there first. But here's the thing. It's like, okay, Blank have just lost Ilios, which is their best map on their best mode, and they just got first held on King's Row as well. This is currently going worse than the last time they met Flash Wolves.
And the really difficult thing here is that you have to track the progress here, and Flash Wolves looked very shaky in Round Robin 1, but they're looking much solid in Round Robin 2, and we noticed, like, Round Robin 1 Flash Wolves' lack of improvement. They proved everyone wrong in coming into second Round Robin, and they have had notable improvement, and it's showing.
Oh, man.
Okay. By the way, Sinkler playing Roadhog is officially called Hook, Line, and Sinkler.
Oh, man. Well, they lose Jongi, though, and Zonda getting very pressured. So Blank able to hold on to this one for now. Do lose Eat You Up. And honestly,
look at that energy.
Yeah, Flash Wolves, if they can just get trade kills here, they're totally happy with that. And by the way, this is 5 tanks from Flash Wolves.
Oh wow, I just noticed.
Yeah,
Why didn't
I was suddenly like, oh, look at all that charge on Bacon Jack. Wait, Bacon Jack? What's he doing on Zarya?
All right, well, Zonda heard what you said. So, okay, everyone heard what you said. Wow, this is a lot of change-ups for the Flash Wolves. So, okay, if anything, Blank have not just reset Flash Wolves push, but they've reset the ult economy now. So, no excuses for the Blank side. You are heavily in the lead in terms of ults. So if you cycle properly, good Earth Shatter, then the next fight, who would grab, well, no Earth Shatter.
Yep, no Earth Shatter at all. And of course, they actually do lack a lot of the hit scan to deal with Sinclair and Zonda up here. Good pick on the Bacon Jack, but they need to get something.
There it is.
There, yeah. There we go.
Where was that earlier?
It's the flying tire. And with that, Zonda is kind of up a tree without a ladder, as it were. Doesn't really have that mercy to keep him safe. Has to back off. And that is another half minute bumped off the clock for Flash Wolves.
So far, this is a pretty good defense from Blank Esports. And when we talk about rotations, although the Earth Shatter wasn't great, Huru has now the chance to redeem his teammate on the tank role. If a Graviton is good, then suddenly Blank Esports are in business. Get the charge back onto Trill, get that Earth Shadow back up, get the Riptide back up, and you're in business.
And this time around, they got the grab as well, but they can't really stay off this point too long. The only one they catch in that is Jongi, unfortunately. But Trill gets the charge kill, losing Eat You Up in the process. They need to get a lot more done than just that. Double sound barrier is committed now, and it is K-Momo getting pressured, but Husk getting pressured in equal measure. Huwu's still in the fight, though, and as long as Huwu's in the fight, it's definitely not over, as it is. Flash Wolves may just kind of get beaten back. Res about to be a factor, so Blank do need to keep tabs on Sinclair. They are a little lean in terms of positioning. Trill needs to be careful here as the dive comes in from Jongi. Huss is very low, and this is the Rocket Barrage now being a factor as well. And again, Blank can't really abandon the point. Great catch, but good res. Zonda can stay in this one now. He needs to get something done with this Rocket Barrage. Gets pressured out again by Huwu. 2 for 2, and Blank again just barely staying in control of the fight. But you know what? Just
a second grab.
Second grab in a huge amount of time to close out the kills, to force Flash Wolves back, to make it even more expensive. And now actually, Flash Wolves are in the exact same situation Blank were in.
And this is exactly what it looks like when Huwu stays alive. This is what you wish Blank did on their attack. Huwu went down multiple times, just comes back with 0 energy. Now he's just sitting at 90 plus, if not 100 all the time. A second grab coming in absolute no time. I mean, Flash Wolves cannot even anticipate the speed at which it was built up. And now, another Earth Shadow. If this one lands, Blank Esports can end the game right now.
Only thing is, it kind of has to land. Bacon Jack looking for something. Rocket Barrage gets Huwu, and Gunva's dead. Zonda slept. That's a good pickup, but they lose Huss. There's the Earth Shadow, though, to get Sinclair. They could stabilize off this. They just need to get the kills, but there's no one here to get them. It's just eating you up. They lose RQT in the self-destruct, and this is going to be the most bitterly fought fight you could imagine. It's eating you up, getting pressured out, going to the cap, and the respawns are too far away for Blank. 26 seconds was all Flash Wolves had left, but it was just enough for them to do it.
That was a valiant effort by Blank, though. I think as disappointing as not getting the full hold was, I think they were somewhat unexpected to get that full hold, and the fact that they pushed Flash Wolves to, what was it, 20 seconds remaining is something to be quite proud of. It's kind of like when AHU nearly beat... I got to turn away from this, otherwise I'm going to be queasy. Is kind of like AHQ against Ardiant, right? Where although you lost, you kind of have to feel proud about the fact that you got nearly there. And for Blank Esports, that was a really good effort. And you can see the power that a player like Huwu commands when he gets given the space, when he gets given the room to breathe there. And now with that, it's going to be a 2-0 lead for the Flash Wolves. And eventually, when Huwu goes down with 100 energy, Trill doesn't land the hammer. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, look, you've got to at least say, I was expecting Flash Wolves to cap like in the first push, maybe the second one, after how well they held Blank on the first point, and actually how poor Blank's own attacks were. They were just constantly falling short of the mark. Again, it came down surprisingly close, I would say, but it's still the same situation as Ilios, where for all its closeness, you really feel like Blank should have been able to perform better, and maybe if they had have, they would have been 2-0 up. But that's the thing. Blank can be doing better than this, and you've got to say that the ceiling is high enough such that this team can still very much beat Flash Wolves. But we are now in the final week of regular play. We are barreling towards playoffs, which Blank are very likely to make it into. If you haven't hit that ceiling yet, you are out of time.
Let's take a look at the replay now. We're going to get into the attack for the Flash Wolves. And this is already past the first one, so they've now swapped onto this, I guess, very heavy siege composition. Junkrat and Zonda on the Pharaohs. But before this, they had the 5 tanks, I believe. So not quite working for them. This was a good Riptide kill from Huss, and kind of the one you expected on Blank Esports' own attack here, but other than that, you just didn't have some really good moments. I guess where Blank really came online was Huwu's grabs. The first grab, kind of average, only caught Jongi, but because he stayed alive, because his energy was so good, the second grab really gave them a good fight.
That's Huwu for you, isn't it? The fact that Huwu, by the way, you see it, I believe it's in this fight, there is a point where he
should
kills,
be one grab here.
He kills Zonda. Yeah, this is the one-man grab onto Jongi, I believe you're quite right. There's a point later where he kills Zonda. This is the one-man grab onto Jongi. Kills Zonda, Zonda gets rezzed, kills Zonda again, both before Zonda is able to use his rocket barrage.
Yeah,
and
so
then,
critical.
yeah, and then Huwu gets a grab to close out the fight as well. Like, Huwu, he didn't like single-handedly carry this fight because on the whole, like Blank were doing well enough in this fight, but Huwu was the one kind of anchoring the team, as it were.
And he's very aggressive here as well, actually. He just understands his positioning quite well, and he wasn't quite punished for it. It wasn't until Flash Wolves really took him out of the fight that's when Flash Wolves really got the job done. So he receives a nano, and by the way, this is what he looks like with a nano and a lot of energy.
Yeah, and that's the instant res onto Zonda. Instantly kills him again. Now there's no res. Now Singler has to retreat. And then he sort of goes, hold on, need to save K-Momo. They all get stuck in a grab.
Yeah,
and
second grab.
I could not believe that, right? Like, the fight was already going well enough for Blank. They had plenty of other tools to win that anyway.
Yeah.
But the fact that they only really had to use Huwu with just the damage and the grab, the nano boost was a factor there, actually made it quite a cheap fight. And the thing is, that's the only way you can hold on point A, you can fully first hold, is if you get a ton of good, low economy fights where just a few tools get maximum mileage like what Huwu did.
And that's what the rotation looks like, right? When you have good ultimate rotation, like I said, one good grab, then into an Earth Shatter, back into a grab, back into another Earth Shatter. It's just fight, all off very cheap ult usages. And like Huwu on the Xayah on defense, when he didn't die with energy, put a nano boost on him, suddenly he does damage. You saw the same on attack when he just spawned, no damage because he only had like 10 energy. So, you know, it was once said that Huwu might as well be a brand for a vacuum cleaner when he plays D.Va. Right now, Huwu might as well be a brand for a microwave on Xayah as well.
A microwave. Yeah, all right, I guess I can see that. Well, at the end... I'm sorry.
Let me just put my food in the Huwu.
Yeah, the Huwu. Beep. Bing.
Zonda's done.
Yeah. Well, like it just like says Russian things when you open it up. Like your
He is
food
done.
Your food is done.
Your food is done.
Food is done. Well, look, this is where Flash Wolves do finally get it over the line. And you got to give credit where credit's due, right? Actually, at this point, Blank only had the one resource left, and it was Trill's Earth Shatter. Flash Wolves had just a little bit more, and they got exactly what they needed out of it. They took Gunba off the table. They took Huwu off the table. There was only the one healer. Eat You Up was still in a good position for most of this fight and could have maybe rescued it. But again, actually, Flash Wolves executed really well. They kept Eat You Up solid, surrounded rather, such that he couldn't get those extra kills through that maybe could have saved it. And actually, at the very end, with very little left to work with, Flash Wolves just did exactly what they needed to, all at the right times, all in the right orders. And that's actually something Blank failed to do on their own push.
And some of the small micro stuff there really makes a lot of difference. You saw Zonda getting slept by, I believe it was Gunba. Huss went around the back and got a concussion mine kill onto Zonda while sleeping, but because he was so far in front, way out of position, he got immediately cooked after that. And then you had a situation where the Earth Shatter from Trill landed, only killed Sinclair with that one. That needed to be the game-winning ultimate.
Yeah.
Like, without wanting to put too much pressure on Trill, when you talk about ultimate rotations, you talk about the fact this has to be an A hold. Every single one of those big tank ultimates has to be good. If it's not, they get a bad situation. And the other thing that was really impressive was K-Momo's microplay, throwing the self-destruct into the archway choke, stops the respawns from Blank from coming in.
Exactly, yeah. And there was just a couple of other things in there as well, like picking Huss at a pretty opportune time, because again, they only had the Earth Shatter at the start, but the Riptide was going to be a factor. So, you know, if the fight had gone on long enough, there would have still been that rescue factor. Had Eat You Up not died at the time he did, or had there been more members alive to help him stay alive, Tactical Visor may have been a factor. So you've really got to credit Flash Wolves' timing to recognize all the priority targets in the right order. And actually what they really did was put Blank in such a situation where it was Earth Shatter or bust.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty all or nothing situation. That's about the best you're going to get in that situation if you're Flash Wolves. You force force the enemy team into this 50-50 where they really want to be in something much more favored than that. And that's really the best odds you have as Flash Wolves. Difference between Blank and Flash Wolves here is Flash Wolves then converted a cap off that.
And on the Blank side of things, it wasn't a situation where you're going to get another miracle grab. Like, if Huru got another grab, like a third one in record time before another Earthshatter came down, I mean, they would deserve to win off the back of that. But unfortunately not the case. And this is a good adaptation by the Flash Wolves, because where are the threats? What's beating us? How are we losing this? Okay, kill Huru on high energy. Done. That's like their main damage gone. Suddenly we roll on through. And things look pretty good. And the only thing we have to play around is an Earthshatter. They did play around that. Yeah, you lost Sinclair, but he didn't have a res anyway. So not a big loss. And everyone cleans up. K-Mama throws a great self-destruct, and then bam.
And by the way, only losing one to the Earthshatter is not at all a bad deal when you've got that much closer respawn.
Well, that's going to be so far 2-0 for Flash Wolves in the lead in the series against Blank Esports. We're going to be taking a quick break, but when we return, the match does continue, and Blank have one final opportunity to get some wins on the board in this matchup, and it does continue after this break. Welcome back to OPC Season 2 as we're about to head into the third map in the series now of Flash Wolves and Blank Esports. So far, 2-0 for Flash Wolves.
And Blank, well, they've got one last chance to try and turn it back around, I suppose. It's going to be Assault, traditionally their weakest game mode, but they do get to take it to Volskaya, which is a map they're actually fairly solid on.
Traditionally, their best Assault map on traditionally their worst game mode. So if you're going to go anywhere, this feels pretty good. At the same time, the Flash Wolves have been reasonably comfortable across the board on Assault, so it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, then the thing is, look, maybe it's just opposite day because they also lost their most favored game mode on their most favored map, so maybe they should have actually taken it to Hanamura.
By the way, if there has been a case where Blank have done this, I'm trying to think back in Season 1 playoffs where they lost the Ilios, but then they won the Assault.
That was against AHQ.
So that
that was opposite day.
But that's the thing. It could be opposite day again. If it is, that would speak well to Blank's ability now.
It was actually day 1 of the Blank AHQ semi-final in Season 1 was when that happened. Then it was Ilios specifically on Control, and I believe it was Volskaya specifically on Assault.
Well, here it is.
I can't remember what the hybrid was. I think it may have been Nibani.
Does Lightning strike twice?
Does it? Spot? Does it? I mean, who knows? Does Lightning strike twice?
Yep.
And can Genji deflect either of them?
Just back at the sky, like, take that.
Take that. Like, well, like if you believe that like lightning comes from like Zeus or something, then it's like you literally shoot his lightning back at him. That would be pretty gnarly.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer of the Pantheon, the Greek Pantheon, so I believe in Zeus.
I feel like in that
situation...
you're
missing out.
Oh, hey, hello, welcome back.
This guy believes in Zeus.
Yeah, we spent a really long time not seeing this guy for a while. I'm glad that he's making some reappearances.
That's not accurate, because we see him like every time we go to Volskaya, he just doesn't dance every time.
Yeah, just doesn't. Oh, you know exactly what I mean. Man, he's really going at it. This is like...
He's giving the people in those homes a good show, by the way. If you're in that house... Oh my god.
This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful.
Oh my god, he's got some moves.
I've always just wondered, like, when was this added to the game? Like, why don't we see it more often?
On release.
But the thing is, like, why don't we see it more often? Like, what's the condition?
Who looks there is the why we don't see it often. Who actually looks
well, no,
there?
because like, they make a point of looking at it every single time, like, just in case it does the dance.
But what we did miss out on is the fact that we didn't see the cars drive off the edge of the
We
map.
didn't see the cars, the mysterious... Where do they go?
I think I got it figured out. So it's a token system. When a certain number of cars drive off the map, then you get a dance. You have to sacrifice vehicles to the dancing
robot god.
And then it happens.
That's actually the pantheon of I believe in. I believe in the pantheon of dancing robots. Dancing Russian robots, actually. But, well, if you believe in something a little bit more solid, that could be either Flash Wolves or Blank here, and they may just need your belief, send them your energy.
Really, I'm a firm believer of Gumba's ability on the Sombra here because he's shown now time and time again, even in losing situations, really solid play onto this Sombra. So he's going to need it more than even now with Eat Up going down the hill.
Well, I would say I'm a firm believer in Eat You Up's Tracer, but unfortunately my belief has been a little
Zonda's trying to convert you.
Yeah, really getting aggressive. He and Bacon Jack both, and they've kind of run them out of this room that should kind of be their Sombra stronghold, and off the back of that, gonna have no trouble capping point A.
The difficult part here for Blank Esports is you would expect Gumba to be nearly at 100% EMP, because with Flash Wolves capping out A now, you need to be in a position onto B where you can immediately use the EMP to great effect, knock out the ultimates and the momentum for Flash Wolves, really just sweep them under their feet and win a team fight. But if Blank Esports don't get this EMP in time, Flash Wolves just roll through.
Saving grace for them, Flash Wolves do not have too many ultimates, so the snowball isn't really a big factor just yet. Good pressure on K-Momo as well, forces them back, but Flash Wolves getting very close to some very major ultimates. That's the EMP commit in just the nick of time. Instant conversion onto Sinclair, closing out at all those kills. Man, look at that, and Bacon Jack stops up the gong, but that is a fight loss from Flash Wolves.
Bacon Jack makes it out alive. In fact, a decent number of suicides there from Flash Wolves, so all things considered. Despite it being a clean teamfight win for Blank, it was clean because Flash Wolves just reset themselves in. You didn't get enough kills. You got maybe 2 kills. That means 2 kills worth of ultimate charge, but every other kill got away from you.
Yeah, goodbye, cruel world. Flash Wolves, I don't know, they had a pact.
Yeah, they're not vehicles, but if they sacrifice enough of themselves, maybe the robot dancers.
The robot dancers, that's exactly how it works. Pulse Bomb does get some good damage on K-Momo, but he's got the self-destruct, but they get the catch on Realman. And actually, K-Momo doesn't want to commit the self-destruct if he doesn't have to. Unfortunately, they don't quite close out the mech, and Chill did commit a Primal Rage into that as well. So Flash Wolves still potentially looking very good for this next attack.
And Blank need to be able to hold off on these attacks in sort of waves, because every second wave, every odd attack number for Flash Wolves here is the risky one for Blank, because that's the one that Gumba doesn't have as EMP available. And he's actually surprisingly charging this reasonably slow, and you'd expect, once again, that this to nearly be available.
That's the Transcendence from Singler to get them onto the point. That's what they're looking to convert off. And there's the sound barrier out now as well. They're trying to find something for this Husk. Good tactical visor. He's getting some pressure out, and actually demaking K-Momo is significant. He did not commit the self-destruct, and that means the Flash Wolves kind of lose their opportunity to fight back now. Good thing to not commit the ultimate, I suppose, actually, because they do preserve it.
Yeah, reasonably clean again in terms of, I would say, fight wins for ultimates committed here. Sound barrier plus tactical visor. Flash Wolves didn't use anything though, so
they used the Transcendence, but they've swapped off anyway.
Okay, well, so there you go. They did use the Transcendence. 2 for 1, not bad. Gumba now comes back in with the EMP ready to go. So in terms of rotations, you can rotate quite effectively. Husk now onto the Reaper as well. So everyone kind of changing up things.
And this is a May out from Sinclair as well. It's interesting to say the least. They're really valuing getting set up on that point and kind of cutting off these members of Blank as they reinforce. But in order for that to work, they actually need to get on the point. Getting RQT is a good opener, and now Zonda in a nice position, but Blank are able to kind of avoid it largely. Huwu throws out the self-destructor to make a bit of space for the team. Doesn't get anything off it just yet, unfortunately. There's the EMP commit. They need to get some conversion off it, though, and Eat You Up's kind of struggling. There's the catch on Bacon Jack, though. A little bit more of what they needed, and K-Momo committing that self-destruct, but unfortunately it's a bit late because the rest of his team was already getting pressured, and they were losing members. So once again, Flash Wolves going to get rebuffed here.
And a great chase as well. RQT at the spear front of that one. Actually, the most important kill, or one of the most important kills, was RQT getting the 1v1 against Bacon Jack, who was hacked, by the way. But if Bacon Jack could have survived there, he has the possibility to turn around. He's got a pulse bomb as well. Now Zonda, feeling the pressure of the EMP, goes on to the Reaper to contest with Husk as well. Sinclair still staying on the May. It's just a bit of a question mark because they really lose the sustain. One of the big ways that Flash Wolves win on attack, that any team wins on attack on B, is through sustain. With only one support, there's just not enough healing.
Yeah, and it's only the Lucio as well. You have to all be very, very clustered, what actually makes you very weak to a lot of what Blanca's running here. In any case, let's see if Flash Wolves can pull it off, getting aggressive, and they do get the Primal Rage out of Trill, but they're not exactly cleanly set up just yet either. Oh, losing Zonda off the edge to the bump, and the rest of the team knows it's all over. They're just going to have to take the dive. A lot of them do lose their lives in that dive, though. It's not just straight suicide.
And that is a very difficult place to be playing for Flash Wolves as well, especially against an active Primal Rage. As soon as Trill uses that, well, you're going to have to be seriously at risk of environmental kills, which is exactly what happened to Flash Wolves. Now Zonda going on to the Doomfist here as Sinclair goes on to the Reaper. So still just kind of finding their feet in Flash Wolves. It appears that they've just not able to find a composition that works. You'd expect maybe this to be the one that actually does work, because Sinclair can survive the EMP, but unfortunately, Zonda cannot.
They're playing like, I don't know, musical compositions. Like they just keep, I mean as in like the party game, not as in like the orchestra. But they're just constantly changing it up. It really threw me off. Yeah. I was thinking of like a musical chairs joke, but yeah, well like composition, team composition, whatever. At any rate, it's not working out because they keep losing fights.
And this is now the difficulty, because you're consistently, in Zonda, by the way, he hovered over Farah for a couple seconds because he was also considering that one. It has a decent matchup into Blank Esports composition, considering that Husk is still onto the Reaper, but you need to stick onto something. With only 2 minutes remaining, and by the way, Flash will start it on 6 minutes. 4 of those minutes, they've just spent changing compositions, experimenting, and just saying, okay, what's going to work here, but we don't have ultimates because we're not charging them.
And it's kind of been giving Blank the ultimate economy. There's the good trade back onto Zonda. Sound barrier coming out, a little bit too late to save him. And Huwu gets one with the mech. This is plenty enough to stabilize off. They even get Realman actually coming through a little bit later. And Huwu getting another one for good measure. Man, this dude is just playing out of his mind today. Bacon Jack again. Gonna take a dive.
And importantly, this was a fight where EMP's not a factor because Gumba's about to charge it back up now. So every time Gumba doesn't have EMP, it's very important for Blank Esports to find those wins somewhere else. And now Zonda going on to what is maybe his 4th character so far on this one attack with only 1 minute 15 remaining. It seems a little bit desperate now. It seems a little bit of a dire moment, and it just might be opposite day.
Yeah, big EMP commit. They instantly convert onto K-Momo. Jongi can't commit a Primal Rage even if he would want to, and he certainly wouldn't want to. They're getting all these kills now, catching Sinclair off the end, looking to get the route onto Real Mid as well. They just want to waste Flash Wolves' time.
Ultimate advantage still in the books of Blank Esports. Not unexpected considering that they've stuck onto the same composition the whole time, minus the one swap up from Huss. The Flash Wolves have only now seeming like this is something that they have to end the game with, and they might not even have a choice in that matter, considering only 38 seconds remaining.
Oh, man.
What they got is what they got to finish this with.
And they changed Sinclair. They've got the Zenyatta now, which is healing they desperately need for these fights, but he's also a long way away from ultimates. He and Realman both aren't even as close to their ultimates as RQT alone is, and Blank have all the other ultimates available too. Good stick on to Huwu's mech though. Hasn't quite closed out the kill just yet. K-Momo not finding too much with that one, but this is the opening Flash Wolves maybe need. RQT very low, getting him down before he gets the sound barrier, and Blank not in a good position to commit these other ultimates, but they are keeping Flash Wolves busy on the back line. Huss gets one, needs a few more, doesn't get more. Gunva gets one in the mix though, and Huwu able to get back in the mech now. That could be big. He can at least stall it, and RQT still close to the sound barrier. They're getting these respawns in. They need to get the sound barrier up. Oh no, he goes down once again. They just need to stabilize. That's all they need to do here, but they lose Huwu as well. They don't actually have tools to do it anymore, by the way. They're just going to have to dash on in and contest, and you look at the tools for Flash
Realman
Wolves.
and Sinclair.
They've got the ones that they need to close it out. The tactical visor starts it, and that gets Huss. Eat You Up has to do a ton of work. No such luck. No one on the point at the very end there, and man, Blank had it all ready to go. How many times is this going to happen to them where they lose the one fight they should win and can win?
Well, it just, you know, it does just feel like opposites, because for Flash Wolves, you expected them to cap so much sooner, but they just couldn't decide on a composition. And then the one they go back to, and it has to be what's now called the Plan B solution for Flash Wolves, and it is the Tracer Soldier into Zenyatta, into the standard lineup of Diva tanks or whatever you want. But for Flash Wolves, that's their Plan B, but they just had to go through all of these different compositions to go through, and of course when you finally go to Tracer Soldier, that's going to be what works for your team, even in a situation where you're heavily disadvantaged in ultimates. I don't know, it's kind of weird for both teams. You expected more out of Flash Wolves, you also expected more out of Blank.
Kind of puts the nail on the head, but the thing is, every time we've ended up in that exact same situation, which has been this entire series so far, it's still been Flash Wolves winning it. It's still been them getting it over the line. So the reality is, you're going to expect more out of Flash Wolves. But the onus is still on Blank to step up. You expect more out of Blank, and the onus is on them to meet that expectation. Because right now, Flash Wolves, look, maybe they could be doing things better, and they absolutely could. But they're winning. Whatever they're doing right now, it's fine.
And that feels like the default position for Flash Wolves against every team except Ardiant. When you look at the first round robin, they struggled. Look, the maps weren't pretty. They dropped a lot of maps actually across the entire first round robin. But they were still winning against everyone except Ardiant, even when it looked like they were kind of being pressured by a lot of teams. Blank was one of them. AHQ really pushed them. Hong Kong Attitude and Machi took them to 5 maps, but Flash Wolves still just winning, and now they're just this very stubborn team that it's hard to just put down for good.
I'm going to put you down for good. I don't know.
The strong wolf. Yeah, just he won't go away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a wolf.
It's a Flash Wolf too.
It's a Flash
Not even
wolf,
just a normal
exactly.
wolf.
It's flashing. It's a wolf that is like it's like blinking lights.
Yeah.
What is a Flash Wolf?
It's a wolf with a lot of expensive handbags. Quite flash.
It's a very wealthy wolf. And you know what? There's 6 of them. You know what? There's 3 DPSs. You know what? Shul's dead. They're getting the kills though. They get the one trade back on the Jongi, losing Eat You Up in the process, but they've still got enough DPS that they could convert some kills still. Yeah. Sinclair has stayed alive though, and now they lose Huss. Blank just going to have to pull back.
And this is I guess, a composition that a lot of teams, specifically Mega, have been running this exact one. But even Mega has shied away from this now. But I don't know, Mega's a special case because they've changed up a lot of their team. For Blank Esports, so they are a team that does like to run this triple DPS comp on Volsky on the first point specifically. It is a little bit of a question. You almost want Gumbo to stay on the Sombra here because we know he can play decent Sombra. He can contest Zonda as well. And one of the things for this Blank Esports team to do is now they got to play around this EMP, and it gets difficult. Sinclair near the Transcendence as well.
And that's the EMP. Gets right onto Huwu, which makes it dead easy for them to close out the mech. Good trade kill to get Sinclair on the back line, though. If Blank can get a few more of those, and they're off to a good start here. They don't actually lose Huwu, only the mech, and that's significant in its own right. Bacon Jack, though, is still hanging around this backside of the point to try and secure it if need be. That's a great stick as well, catches Huwu, who was trying to get back into the mech. EduUp does get one back for his team, though. It's not over just yet for Blank, and they are still getting pressure on the point. They need to at least get a third out of this, but the contest is going to be able to be there from Flash Wolves. Those last couple of kills do mean the remaining members of Blank have to back off.
And this is, by the way, a stark difference to Blank's own defense, because Blank just kind of had to cede it on Flash Wolves' first attack. What we're trying to say here, their first attempt, but actually for Blank Esports, they've had 2 attempts now. Going into their 3rd attempt, ultimates are starting to come online, but eventually, when and if Blank Esports do get this, they're at a time deficit going into B.
Well, I mean, they're very consistent, right? They're consistently seeding these fights. Zonda's going to have to pull back. Looking for the EMP. Good catch on K-Momo is going to force out a self-destruct. If they can stop him from getting back in the mech, that would be good news for Blank, but no such luck. The sound barrier to keep them safe as well as losing Trill in that self-destruct. Yeah, Gunba ulted as well, and they didn't really get anything for it, as did IQT. And it's still Flash Wolves just on top of this fight. Blank, they're just not even getting picks.
And now they're going to get styled on as well, because this is Flash Wolves going for a spawn camp. All of these late picks just favor Flash Wolves more and more. Just more time that Blank have to sit and wait for more spawners, and you're already running out of time, already nearing that 1 minute mark. So for Blank, out of options, out of time, it's starting to look really bad. But Gumba, this man might be a miracle worker.
That is a big pick for them, and Jongi is actually in an unfavorable spot here. Has to commit the Primal Rage, and he's going to stay in this so that he can convert a kill off it, because he knows it's unlikely that he gets back safely. If he does, it's going to be with his team on the back foot. Blank now have an opportunity to go before Realman gets back.
This is important now, because Blank's potential final 10. Eb's going to start things off nicely. Good pulse bomb stack though.
Good catch onto K-Momo when they get the close out. This is the fight that Blank have been looking for, where they can pressure out Flash Wolves in their home territory. Eat you up as well, popping off when it counts. They do lose Gunba in it, but that's really just Bacon Jack going for style points, because it's Eat You Up really pulling the weight here between these 2 traces. Now Bacon Jack going down. That should be the cap now out of Blank.
The final moments as well, and it takes kind of the final attempt for Blank to get it across the line, and off the back of Eat You Up as well. So, you know, deep pockets on this guy, strong shoulders if you want as well. Flash Wolves are good news for them as they set up for B. Zonda's got the EMP ready to go. Sinclair with Transcendence as well. Unlikely to see Blank Esports really get a good momentum push here, outside of a really big blunder by Flash Wolves.
They do have the ultimates for it though, so if Blank can get a crucial pick, especially if they get someone like Zonda, they do have the tools to snowball, but there's the commit from Zonda. Blank instantly take a dive.
That's an important, actually a lot of members got away with taking the dive there, so important for Blank to be able to get up with many members of life if possible. Killing Sinclair as well, just a little bit of extras, but now this does give Flash Wolves a bit of time to charge ultimate. Zonda quickly changing onto the soldier. He knows the Doom push is imminent, and a Sombra without an EMP, not where you want to be. Zonda on the soldier, definitely far more comfortable.
Doom push is the right way to put it as well. We're green across the board for Blank. They've got all 6 ultimates available. All Flash Wolves have right now is the Transcendence, and they will have the self-destruct from K-Momo as well. They've got to really leverage those ultimates.
So this Transcendence has to have a lot of mileage for Flash Wolves. On the other side, Blank Esports have to be rather conservative with ultimates. They can't blow all 6 into a single trance. They have to be able to make sure that they have enough to deal with the second wave of respawners when it happens.
They've lost Huss already. Good bump.
No Transcendence.
Oh, that's a huge bump. Now Gunba with the tactical buys are getting some work done. Maybe not as much as they would like though, and they've actually committed a lot of ultimates into this one now, having not quite converted out these kills. Flash will still have the opportunity to stabilize. Good catch onto K-Momo. Blank do just still barely have the members to do this, to close out the fight now, but they need to actually close it out. Flash Wolves, they never lost enough members for Blank to even significantly get on the point, and now Blank are actually the ones getting very pressured. That's the sound barrier now out of Realman, and Blank committed everything except for Huss's ultimate because he died and they didn't even get a third. Where have I seen that before?
5 ultimates plus you knocked out Sinclair, so there was no Transcendence. I don't think you could have potentially set yourself up for a better fight than that. That's about as favorable if you want. I think the only better fight for Blank is if all 6 Flash Wolves members took a dive off the side of All Sky and just said, here's the cap, because, I mean, again, 5 ultimates plus Sinclair didn't get to use Transcendence. That needed to be a fight win for Blank. That needed to be capped. pressure on. Well, Bacon Jack's 1 out of 6, so the rest of Flash Wolves, if they all jump off like Bacon Jack right now, then Blank got this.
I mean, geez, this is actually legitimately an opportunity for them now. Huss going in, gets the Transcendence out of Sinkler. He is going to be able to preserve Zonda with that. And Bacon Jack does rejoin the fight as well. Here's the Dragon Blade out. Huss takes a big chunk before it starts off, though. Looking to get K Momo. They do convert that one. Looking to get a little bit more now. Can't quite find anyone. Blade goes away. And actually, if he loses this 1v1, oh man, they do lose Gunber as well to that Pulse Bomb. And Blank still not actually getting enough kills just yet. They need to get more. They need to actually get this in a single kind of death push. They're getting a second, third now. This is more or less what they need, but they don't actually have the healer. Gunber is now onto the Sombra, but Eat You Up is still in this fight. Is still getting kills, and yeah, 2/3. Flash Wolves, they've still got some tools to stabilize, but they're still losing members as well. This is actually anyone's fight. Now Blank gigging the members back in. RQT can come in with a sound barrier. There it goes out. That could be the stabilization that they need. Bacon Jack's pressured out. He may just die if he's not careful, and the self-destruct from Huwu to create that last bit of space. Flash Wolves, they still have the members. They've still got a couple of ultimates, but it's actually them on the back foot now. Blank are keeping a lockdown on this fight, but now the re-entry from Zonda and Jongi doing good work. It doesn't look like Blank are quite going to get that last bit just yet. May have to see this one, but they could still do it in one final push.
And that's going to be an important one, and barely enough time. Both teams potentially only getting the full cap out in the overtime, and it's going to be an important one because still, it's not completely conclusive that Blank can do this yet. Flash Wolves, by the way, now finally have ultimates online. As you head into the overtime, you got to favor Flash Wolves in this fight.
You got it, but look, last time we favored one team, the other team was the one who pulled it out, so look, stranger things have happened, but Blank, they do not have any ultimates. They don't really have anything to work with at all. They're just relying on individual picks. Need to keep these backliners alive. Need to find a way to deal with Jongi, at least force out that Primal Rage. They're trying to get onto the point itself. Gunber in a bit of trouble here, getting forced way off, and Jongi's got the Primal Rage out, but he's going down. He might not get out of that one alive. Finally rejoining the fight. No, he does go down. They do lose Eat You Up in the mix though. So Blank, not out of the woods yet, but the resources aren't there anymore for Flash Wolves either. Good sound barrier, but that's a huge EMP out of Huss to spin that one back around, and Gunber able to keep the team topped off with that Transcendence, and I don't believe it, they're actually going to do it. They're getting these members down. They need to convert on Jongi now. Need to pressure Zonda out of the fight too, but they've got the sound barrier to give them the legs, to allow them to go the distance, and it's a marathon effort, but it looks like Blank may just complete the race and tie that one up. Is that another golden point?
These teams know how to make you sweat, man. And indeed, a draw, 2-2. Neither team can get it over the line except in the overtime, and it was a huge struggle on both ends. And now, twice in a row, the team that you expect to finally get it in the end, especially on the defense when they're so favored in the overtime, got all the ults to play with, got the time advantage to play with there. Flash Wolves, or rather for Blank on their defense, couldn't get it done. And then Flash Wolves on their own defense. They couldn't get it done, and both teams got to go into control.
Well, you do have to say it. That could be good news for Blank. Look, they lost Ilios. There's no two ways about that. But Control, it is still their favorite game mode. They do also get the map pick here. Plus, they've kind of withered the Storm in a way. They are 0-2 down in the series. Assault is their weakest game mode, but they were at least able to draw it. That's actually a significant thing when you consider how unfavored they tend to be on this game mode. Maybe this is Blank starting to just step it up, starting to come online a little bit, starting to reach their potential. Maybe they can pull it back on Golden Point. We know they're good at Escort. Maybe they can pull that one back, take us to a game 5. Look, Blank are down, but they are really not out.
And that's
not by a long shot.
And that's the most important thing for this team because they need these opportunities. It looked incredibly dire for the team, but when it got to the darkest moment, I guess, that's when Blank pull it on through, and they need to continue this now. They need to get this win on the Golden Cap, take it to Escort, like you said, potentially win that one, and then even up the scoreline. This is Blank's pathway back into this game, but it starts with one step, and that one step is that Golden Point.
That's the thing that all of these teams know, playing at this level of competition. There is no series. There is no 0-2 down. There is no Golden Point. There is only the map ahead of you and how you play it. As far as Blank are concerned, the series starts now.
Now, that was philosophical. If I had emotions, I'd be crying right now, but...
but you worship the robot gods.
I'm a robot. I'm a machine.
Exactly.
So,
you, to show your devotion, you don't express emotion. Hey, Dr.
I leak oil, but I don't cry.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm just getting flashbacks to the pause from Sunday night now, with this like slow move down.
By the way, this is
unexciting.
This is like nearly 90 degrees down as well, so be a bad place to get stuck.
Would be absolutely sickening, to be honest. Well, it's going to be the 1 point of Lijiang Tower. We're going to be going to control center. All comes down to this.
This is actually a decent map pick for the Blank side of things. The control center over the other Lijiang maps. I think you might want to favor Blank just a bit here. Also don't want to speak too soon because I think every time we've sort of said, well, this team's good, this team's looking good.
No one's favored.
The opposite's kind of happens.
Absolutely no one is favored. Nothing is happening.
So no one's going to win it.
Yeah, no one's going to win. Exactly. This is going to draw. We're going to go play a game of Hearthstone instead. This is Trill, though, is looking to be the first casualty of the fight, and Blank are actually yet to get the same pressure on in response. They do get one back on Jongi, but they've lost too many members themselves. That's going to be Flashwolves getting the cap. Blank just need to not get routed now.
Well, it does seem that there's a bit of a chase going on, and you talk about not getting routed, but this is definitely what a route looks like. Even a flashbang into just leaving Who alive, forcing him to go off the edge to reset the mech, just waste a lot of time on the Blank side of things. Nice and early camp for Flashwolves as well into the Deadeye ultimate. For Zonda means this is going to be a nice hold. They can possibly go for a spawn hold here, which is what the Deadeye allows you to be able to do too.
Man, Blank just aren't putting out any pressure on these control maps, it seems. Now the Deadeye going to be able to come out, and it only needs to get one. Oh, able to get Trill through the shield. That is the 1-for-1 though, as they lose Bacon Jack, so Blank could still get something in this fight, but they need to actually find that something. Zonda could be that something. Transcendence is that something, and Blank committing their own ultimates to this as well. They want to go the distance, and we'll be able to get Trill back in the fight, but good pullback now by Flashwolves. They're looking to get aggressive now again as Blank have moved forward. Commits all coming out now, the Transcendence and now the Primal Rage from Jongi as well. But the pressure is here, trying to get onto Zonda. Huss respecting the flashbang, but the pressured Flashwolves back. Now committing the Dragon Blade. They need to get a lot done for it. Jongi is one, looking to get more, trying to wrap around the backside, but he just can't get close to these members. The pullback is too good from Flashwolves, and they're still trading members through here. Sound Barrier now in for them. They are not done in this fight, but the self-destruct is going to be the one to secure it for Blank.
And finally the cap over result for Flashwolves, and as soon as I guess that spawn hold was kind of 50-50 working for them, but they had to pull back quite quickly. The sound barrier, well not the sound barrier, the Transcendence used by Sinclair very quickly to try and save Zonda. Gumba held onto his own, used it to push Flashwolves further back. Then the Dragon Blade from Huss as well, despite only getting one kill, it did just keep Flashwolves locked in their base.
Okay, that is a big pick on eating you up, but they get the trade back. Oh, they get Sinclair as well. That's a big one for them. Unfortunately, losing Trill, they should have time to get him back in the fight.
So you can get a good couple of ultimate rotations from Blank. You should see a decent amount of hold here, and certainly at least 20 to 30% progress on the camp itself. Architect and Gumba both coming up online with support ultimates. That's extremely important. Expect Sinclair to probably try and match that. But Flashwolves, at least they got good positioning.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to kind of have to here, Sinclair. That's the sound barrier committing. Yeah, there it is, Sinclair with the Transcendence out. So now Blank do have that defensive ultimate advantage as long as Gunda can get his out. Has to commit it to keep Trill in the fight, but to keep Trill in the fight, crucially. Trying to pressure out Jongi, and it is going to work as well. Need to get a little bit more than that, and Huss starting to get a bit more work done on this back line. Need to respect the pick potential still out of Flashwolves. Looking to get aggressive onto said members, but they had to walk away from the self-destruct. Going to be just fine, but that means they don't get much out of the ultimate itself from Huss. What they do get, though, is conversion out of the other members, even as they lose Huss on the back end. Now surpassing Flashwolves in charge.
And that's most important here because Blank is starting to threaten the overtime, and Flashwolves cannot be too patient here. Huss actually changes onto the Doomfist. So he's going to try and match Zonda 1-for-1 as Zonda is nearly onto that Meteor Strike now for Flashwolves. They need some more ults because they're just losing the time.
Oh, Trill gets picked off, and now Meteor Strike can go into the back line. They don't have defensive ultimates to save themselves. Gunba going down in that one. They'll be able to push it over that 90% point, but who are not trading anything back. Huss going down as well to Zonda. And that's actually just one resource less for them. Blank maybe just need to seed this one and go in for a final fight afterwards.
That's probably the only option they have left. They've already got 99%.
And by the way, don't give up ultimate charge.
Any more members that try and hold on to this cap are just wasting their lives away, wasting a lot more time for Blank Esports, and they need to reconsolidate very quickly, fighting into double support ultimates on the Flashwolves side.
Huss!
This is going to go down to 99-99, both teams in overtime.
Huss is going to be able to respawn, but dude, they've given up Flashwolves so much charge now. Charge they didn't need to give, ultimates they didn't need to expend. Blank have put themselves on the back foot.
Oh, this is so tense with only 10 seconds remaining. Here comes a very nice close call. Blank might not even touch the cap.
They might not. There's a huge pulse bomb and Bacon Jack getting 2 for his trouble. There's his big forced commits out of Blank. They're just trying to book it to the point with that overtime there. And they nearly got the cap through as well, but now they've actually got to get the members on the point itself. Trill is going to go down if he's not careful. Ijup already has gone down, and the rest of these members can't actually respawn. They split themselves up. They tried to get clever. They backfooted themselves, and it blew up in their faces. Blank dropping the series to Flash Wolves. No revenge today.
The most heartbreaking part is that they're not winning the controls either. Now, where they had an edge over Flash Wolves in the past in Season 1, even in the first round robin in Season 2, they're just not getting that again. They were winning control against Flash Wolves. Now that's just not even the case.
And the thing is, if you were Blank still reliably winning control, you would be 2-1 right now in this series. Let's assume that they would still lose Kings Row. You would be 2-1. You would have won Ilios. Assault would have gone to Golden Point. You would have won that, but you didn't. You've lost the one thing that was keeping you competitive, the one thing that kept you in contention for those playoffs while your team was gelling together. But now they've lost that, and this team still hasn't reached their potential. They will probably still make playoffs. There is a good chance they do that. That is still in question, but you've got to consider as well, if they do, are they still good enough to make it to the grand finals again like they did in Season 1? Because right now, it's not looking like they are, whereas for Flash Wolves, they absolutely are.
A good sportsmanship right at the end there. Trill gives Jongi a hug as they walk past each other, but at the end of the day, a bit of a heartbreak loss for Blank because it now does confirm their sort of standings in here. It's a 3-0 victory, and that's a tough loss for Blank, who have really, I guess, made some good movements, and they have had some shining moments, but because Flash Wolves just 3-0'd them, much like when Hong Kong Attitude lost to Flash Wolves as well, it just cements their positioning beneath Flash Wolves. It just says, right now, you're still not good enough to get past us. This is what the gate looks like, and you're standing on the other side.
And of course, with that as well, they've now played the same number of games as Hong Kong Attitude. That was the only thing actually putting them in that third place. They are now in that forward place. Tied in terms of the overall scoreline with Hong Kong Attitude, but it's the map difference that is putting Hong Kong Attitude at third. And the thing as well is, both of those teams are 7-5. AHQ is 6-6. That puts AHQ back within striking distance of this top 4, given that they did lose against Ardian. And that's the thing. AHQ, if they can actually convert these wins against Blank and Hong Kong Attitude both, they make it into playoffs. If Blank were to convert that win against Flash Wolves, they could have actually bumped Hong Kong Attitude out of playoffs. But now, it's Blank are the ones who are going to have to fight for their spot. If they can't pull it out against AHQ later on this weekend, which is going to be their last game of the regular season, then it's just not going to happen for them.
And by the way, we haven't even talked about the second to last game of the season for Blank, which is against Ardian. So if you're not beating Flash Wolves, it's very difficult to say that you have a chance versus Ardian either. That being the case, you can kind of predict a 7-6 scoreline now for Blank, which would put them definitely within striking distance of AHQ. So these three teams, and it does feel like OPC top 4, a tale of 3 teams, Hong Kong Attitude, Blank, and AHQ. A lot of questions. Anything can happen with these guys, and you don't know who's coming out on top, you don't know who's going to be at the bottom, but someone's got to be left out.
Unfortunately, that is the case, and we kind of knew that that was going to be the situation this series right from the start, right? With Season 2, all of these teams came in looking so good. We had some really strong new entrants into the tournament as well. And we had this situation where we had like 6 teams who we easily felt could have made top 4, and the other 2 probably could have done it too. But at the end of the day, 2 teams have to be at the bottom, and 4 teams are going to be at the top. Everyone else is out of luck.
That is the tough place to be for those teams right now. I guess the silver lining, you have to give them the silver lining as AHQ, which is what that was close but not good enough. Let's take a look at the replay now as we head into the early stages of Volskaya, the attack from Blank.
Yeah, and look, it took them a really long time to start getting the work done, but they got the crucial picks when they needed. They lost Huwoo's mech, but they didn't actually lose Huwoo, and that was quite a significant thing. I believe they ultimately do get repelled here because of a great stick from Bacon Jack. He lands it onto RQT, yeah, and Huwoo is actually about to remech. That's why he stood there, looking to get straight back in the fight. They, I think, still keep it alive, if I'm not mistaken, off the back of Eat You Up, but that came really down to the wire for Blank.
It was, and Blank don't manage to cap on until about 20 seconds remaining on cap A, so
you're quite right.
It's a difficult it's a difficult situation from Blank, and it was in fact Bacon Jack's pulse bomb that really nailed them. So apart from that, Blank remained very competitive, but Bacon Jack closed the door.
And the thing you've got to say with this as well is, look, the whole series long, Blank remained competitive, but at no point did they win. At no point did they close out a map convincingly enough. Even when they won Ruins on Ilios, they lost other ones where they were getting close to it. And if the entire record of your team in these matches against the other top 4, top 5 teams in this tournament are consistently coming down too close but not getting it over the line when it counts, then I don't need to tell you what that means for playoffs.
And the other thing to consider now that Blank has lost to Flash Wolves twice in the second season, lost to Hong Kong Attitude twice in the second season. So what's remaining is it's AHQ and Ardiant. And again, if you look at Ardiant, that feels like another 0-2.
And you know what? They're now becoming increasingly reliant. Even if they beat AHQ, they're becoming increasingly reliant on Hong Kong Attitude actually beating AHQ.
Yeah.
The reality is AHQ just had a really competitive series against Ardian. They've already beaten Flash Wolves. As much as Hong Kong Attitude currently have the better win record against them across total games played between Season 1 and 2, you still feel like AHQ are now actually the favorite coming into that particular matchup. Blank, they're kind of in this situation themselves now where actually their ability to make playoffs may be a little bit out of their hands.
Take a look at the next replay now, a little bit further on Volskaya still, and this is the Doom push from Blank. 6 ultimates, and by the way, they used 5 of these. So let's take a look at what happened here. Huss dies with the Dragon Blade first of all. Trill uses the Prime Rage, and he does knock out Sinclair most importantly. Gumba takes down Zonda, so you got 2 kills so far, but again, that's 4 ultimates off the board. Huru's going to be self-destructing at some point here as well. We're still yet to see another kill from Blank.
They finally get K-Momo. And the thing is, right, they didn't close out members that got low. And I know that sounds really silly, but especially when you've committed ultimates to do it, if you use a lot of resources, you spend a lot of time, you pour a lot of damage into someone, and you see it here again with Jongi, you put all this damage into someone, and then they're able to pull back and retreat, and then like a Lucio, by amping it up, is able to top them right back off, then they got away with that very, very cheaply. If you got someone low with something like a Pulse Bomb and all they needed was a Lucio Aura to top them off, you are on the back foot in that fight. You did not get the conversion you needed. You have to close out those sorts of kills. Even if you only get 1 kill, that's probably not enough. But if you're not even getting that, then that's where you're going wrong. And that's the thing. Blank got a couple of kills, but they weren't actually converting any further. They weren't actually able to get the ground itself.
Yeah.
And when you're attacking on Assault, you really need to get like 3+ kills to legitimately get a leg up in that fight. And even then, you still need to actually convert kills after that fight as well.
I think you got to take it with a 1-to-1 ratio ultimates used versus kills, right? So if you use 5
Ideally.
ultimates, 5 kills. Like, I mean, that makes the most sense here. I know not all the ultimates are damage ultimates. Obviously, Transcendence, you're not killing somebody, but that enables your team to kill somebody, right? So that's what you got to kind of measure it up as, and it just wasn't the case. Here comes player of the game going over to Bacon Jack on the Tracer. And yep.
Yeah, it's the coin flip.
It's a good Tracer.
Yeah.
Well, it could have
Well,
been Jongi, but
exactly.
this time it goes Bacon.
So they get
I want a
Bacon Jack and
coin.
Jongi.
I want a coin that's got Bacon Jack on one side and Jongi on the other.
You've got to consider...
Physically, like a real minted coin.
You've got to consider it is a little unfortunate that Blank picked up the loss, because you feel like if they had won, the player of the game would have very easily gone to Huwu, because that's the thing. Even on a team that was losing, Huwu is consistently showing up. He has become an absolute powerhouse in this team, a member that is absolutely shining. If you talk about this team maybe not reaching their potential just yet, Huwu is definitely not a part of that issue.
I would probably say Eat Up for me, because Huwu on King's Row for one half of King's Row for sure, but Eat Up for everything else was definitely, I mean, you had situations when it was like, oh, Blank are not really winning here. Oh, Eat Up's getting a lot of kills still. And that's kind of where his strength is, and this is why he's one of the best players in the competition. Despite being in a losing situation, he's still able to pick up a lot of kills and keep his team in. But now, let's get a few thoughts from the winning side. It's going to be with Sinclair.
好，这边有几个问题想问那个 Thinker， 就是对于你觉得在季后赛你有什么样的对
So,
策？
how do you feel about the playoffs?
打赢他们就好了，这中
I
间
just wanna
都不
win
用就
right
是
now.
练习吗？
How do you feel about practicing?
所以最近还没有想好对策，
有啊，
所以下礼拜才会知道。
So we're still thinking about
然后
some
我想
stuff and
问
we'll
说，
figure it out
对于
next
你
week.
觉得自己在第一季跟第二季，你觉得
How do you feel about the
有没有
difference
什么样
between
的差别？
first
大
round robin and second?
上的大局的时机和站位变得比较好，
I feel like
你
my
觉得为什么
ultimates on Transcendence have been better.
团练吧。
I feel like, and the reason for that is through practice and
关于就
scrims.
是 可能是有新的队伍加入，然后
Do you feel like
会让
it's-
你们有就是不一样
Do
的。
you feel like it's because there were new teams and new members
也是吗？
in
好
round robin one that
是
kind of
趁
threw
机
you
豪
up?
哥
You said, yeah,
话还
that's
蛮多，
that's
就
a
开
reason.
始问一下，就是平常你在队伍上面，我会发现说你会除了担当，就是除了最常玩的安纳和上位以外，你还
You mainly play Zenyatta, but sometimes you play Sombra. You also play Reaper today, though.
原本是一个辅助，但是你要担任到甚
But-
至汉影或者
but
是
as a
位置
support,
是为什么会选择由你
Why
来
would
这样
you
做这样的调
Why
整
would you swap to
因
some
为选和尚的时候
non-supports?
这边通常都是汉影，
对
对，就很容易死掉。
所以
I
就
feel
觉
like
得
as a Zenyatta, I die easy to Sombra,
顺便可以做反制。
but I believe
然
as
后
a
想
as
问
a
一下这个算是帮大家
Reaper, I have a
习
much
惯
better
就是
chance against Sombra.
很多，因为我们都会知道说，其实，在你们闪亮队伍上面，其实像 Junkie 他其实会玩元士，所以很好奇说
Johnny
为
actually
为
likes
什
to
么
play-
说你们没有调，没有
likes to play Genji sometimes outside of matches.
可以补元士的位置。
So do you feel like maybe you give him a chance on that?
没有人会玩星星，
因为别人会玩星星嘛
Because no one
这
else
还是
can-
硬
no
伤
one
害
else can
是
play
因为
Winston,
到
so that's
最
the
后没有
issue.
玩主坦的位置这样。
对。
I feel like he
了解
needs to be on it because he's our
好，
best
那
tank
再次
player.
呢，恭喜闪电狼赢得这一场的比
All
赛。
right, so that
那最后一场比
is
赛呢是
Sinkler with a
MVP
couple of post-match thoughts there on how his team's doing. Interesting thoughts, particularly on how he felt about the first round robin, and that was kind of like, you know, obviously coming off the loss from the World Cup, but then also facing some new teams, new members of old teams that kind of threw Flash Wolves off a little bit, but there has been marked improvement since then.
Yeah, it absolutely has been, and that reflects just in the change from getting very consistent 3-1 wins to getting now very consistent 3-0 wins, even against teams that are really challenging them in the form of Blank. And the few losses they have picked up have been these full 5-game affairs. But of course, with that, they now pick themselves up a 3-0 win. That leaves us with just one match left tonight, and it is going to be Matchy Esports taking on Liberland Supreme.
Exactly one more match for the Friday series as we're coming very close down to the end of the regular season play. Up next, as you've already mentioned, Machi against Liberland Supreme, so don't go anywhere, stick around for that.